We're going to be checking out the new updates to the raids and strikes that ArenaNet released yesterday, October 1st. So I'm pretty excited because I hear there's some pretty big news in here. Hey folks, this is Brian Yarrow, Combat Systems Lead on Guild Wars 2, and I'm here to talk to you about something really exciting that's coming up in the first major update for Guild Wars 2 Visions of Eternity early next year. As we announced in July, we're merging the strike missions and raid game modes into a single game mode which can be called raids. Nice. Okay. First off, I'm glad they're like kind of streamlining it and just making everything raids, which means daily raid bosses probably a thing now. We're probably going to get that. At least that's what I'm hoping that means. Which would be pretty PogChamp, honestly. We're releasing another blog on this topic in the coming months with granular details, but today I want to focus on why we're doing this and how we got here. Why are they merging them? Strike missions were originally designed to help players transition from open world content into raid content. They were intended to be quicker to complete than a full raid wing and have significantly less complicated mechanics as well. Yeah, this is kind of not true. Like, if you look at like modern days like strikes, like dude, I'm pretty sure that like Febe, at least the CM fights are definitely not simple. Like none of the, dude, even HT is not like on regular, it's not simple for like regular people. So it's like, I can see that that's what they intended with IBS 5, but it definitely strayed from that from EOD onwards. Like EOD was peak strikes. Over time, our data indicate that strike missions weren't performing as the content bridge we were hoping for. When we dug into the details on why this is happening, we found a number of reasons that we believed were all contributing factor, and we've been attempting to address this over our past few expansions. Okay, so they are trying to do something to get more people into raids, because otherwise just making stuff no one plays. So that's good that they're doing that. When we looked at who was playing strike missions and why, we discovered that inexperienced players had low engagement with strike missions. Furthermore, players who wanted to raid still felt blocked due to difficulty concerns and challenges in finding a group to run with them. Strike missions simply weren't being viewed as a stepping stone to raids and were originally intended. I'm pretty sure people pushed it to be that way, but I don't know. I guess they've got the data on what's happening with like newer players and that. Since then, we've been trying to reframe and clarify how difficulty levels work in our group instance content across both strike and raid modes. Normal mode should be able to be completed by anyone interested in learning the content, while challenge mode is aimed towards any hardcore audience. We also have some plans, which we'll tease below, that will further clarify the intended difficulty level of raids for players. Okay, so they kind of want... Does that mean Emboldened is going to be like there for most of the raids? It's kind of interesting. I feel like they need to have like, the only way they can like comfortably do this is like they've got to give like a write-up or something to show people what to do mechanics wise. Because like, even if you make people take less damage on Doom CM, like this, like the Reapers are going to die, and the Reapers dying will wipe the encounter. So it's like parts of the encounter that like, if you're new and you have no idea what's going on, no matter how much they reduce the damage, you're just going to die to that fight if you don't know like the intended mechanics. We've also made plans to improve strike mission engagement. We came to realize that strikes and raids didn't need to be separate game modes at all. Yeah, I think everyone agrees with that. Like, there might be some niche people that are like, actually, no, there's like the in-between part of raids that like we really like, and like we don't want you to remove that and the story involved, but ignore those people. Honestly, like the in-between content, yeah, it's nice to like have skips and like cool creative ways you can skip it, but for the most part, people are there for the bosses. Like, you look at most people, no one wants to do fucking escort. Like, everyone's dodging escort, like gate, everyone's dodging, because there's no real ways to speed them up. And I bet you if you gave people the option to dodge trio in the same way, everyone would be dodging trio, because no one like enjoys trio, just because you can't speed it up and there's a lot of like dead time in that fight. It's also just not that engaging. Like, unless you're really doing mortars, you're not really doing much in that fight between just like clearing ads. They were both squad-based instance content with similar levels of complexity. Do I agree with that? I kind of don't. I feel like depending on which raid and which strikes, okay, I kind of agree because like the difficulty varies in both of them. Raid wings were just longer and tended to have a bit more complexity per encounter than strike missions did. We're also playing some hidden costs by separating them, such as each mode having its own separate reward system. That didn't incentivize cross-engagement, not to mention that it was confusing to new players. Yeah, I agree with that. Like having like so many different reward systems to like engage with every week means that like, oh, you're going to the fractal vendor buying your weekly fractal stuff. You're going to the raid vendor buying your weekly raid stuff, right? And that's why they kind of moved away from it in a way. And basically made it so that like we had that one item that pretty much you can access all the daily vendors from, so people could be like, oh, this is the other stuff I can buy from, or like this is the other thing I could buy from, right? Just so that like people were no longer missing out on those things that they just weren't aware about because like people weren't telling them, or they just weren't aware of it. So it's like, it's a good change to like consolidate them, which means, dude, all my heaps of raid currency I can now use to buy like Everbloom infusions. So, you know, I'm a bit biased. I'm gonna be happy with them. We're also playing some hidden costs by separating them, such as each mode, reward system, and new players. Strike missions will be known as raid encounters going forward and will be siblings with the current raid wings within the larger raid game mode. That's pretty good. I think it'll be good to get more people into raids. So, strike missions will also be known as, this should make it easier for new players to understand and approach. Yeah, I think that's good. Although now it kind of worries me that people are going to be asking for like LI for everything. Or does that mean that like LI is now going to be gained from like strikes as well? And you can get like an extra LI daily or something. Like, I could definitely see that being the case. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Radiant 2026. Combining these game modes offers us the opportunity to do so much more than making things simpler to understand. In our first major update for Guild Wars 2 Visions of Eternity, we'll be adding the following raids. A new raid UI, which with quality of life improvements, screenshot below. Let me have a look at this. Alright, so you've got like the core game, which is Old Lions Court. Boss info. Okay, is this annotating like... Okay, it's showing base difficulty, which is interesting. I feel like they should probably show per boss difficulty, because like if I look at Mithrite Gambit, I don't think Mithrite Gambit's that hard for the first boss. I think Largos is probably going to kill a lot of new players, and then Q1 I would say is complicated for new people. So like for this to be like a 1-star is like not entirely true. I'd probably say that for like Conjured Amalgamate's like a 1-2 star maybe. It depends on how hard they want to scale up that difficulty, but so I'm guessing that this here shows the weekly rewards, so maybe this is the daily rewards? I could be wrong. So it's kind of interesting. Okay. I do like the way it looks though. So it's good that they've like separated out all the fights, but I do hope, and here's my one issue I have with it, is I do hope that they add one tab above everything, which is like an overview of like all of these raids like put together and just in that section. So like if there's an LFG in any single one of them, that it puts you in. But here it looks like it's just an enter, which means it's just going to match make a group for you, which I hope is not the case unless they make it like really simplify down. Hello. That's kind of awkward, isn't it? Yeah. So there's I have a list of all the raid wings and encounters which should allow you to go directly to each boss you want to tackle. This list includes encounter difficulty ratings to inform players, quick play mode to assist players in finding a group for easier raid encounters. So, dude, everyone knew this was going to happen once they started doing the fractal rush. Like, I even had a suspicion that this was coming along, that like they were doing this to like experiment with like having like a quick play feature that they could just drag people into content and like take away the whole thing of like, oh, you've got to have someone who does all the work in setting up the squad, has to go like jingle jangle, you quick DPS, you know, like it's probably the least enjoyable part of raids is setting up the actual raid. Like everyone just wants to get in, do the job, get out. Like this here will make it way better, way more fun because like you can probably just join quick play. But I don't know if this will fix the problem because like in my opinion, most people that are experienced, myself included, if the quick play doesn't have a section that will annotate boons, I'm not going to utilize it. I would rather just utilize the actual LFG and get people that will actually give me boons rather than do quick play. So I hope that they address this by actually making it so that people can like lock in their actual roles. You know what I mean? Because then it kind of pushes new players into the actual roles that like are required. I just think it would be a good addition for it. And then also just marking them in the squad so people kind of know who's doing what, who's meant to be doing what. So someone doesn't have to, once we quick play, go in there and be like, who's QDPS, who's a lack DPS, who's a lack heal, who's quick heal, you know, like just makes it like simpler. But I guess that's only for the easier raid encounters, which is fine. That's not a huge deal. A merged reward system for strike and raid wings. Yep, everyone like that's good. A new Guild Wars 2 Visions of Eternity raid encounter with the challenge mode. A second raid encounter, a challenge mode, and a legendary mode that will come with the subsequent upgrade dates. So if I'm reading this, that means we've got two raid encounters. Both are going to have CMs, and the second one is going to have a legendary mode. So similar to Ura and Ceres. So that's good. I do like that. I still do hope they go back, since they're making a lot of the fights more accessible, they go back and at least add like challenge modes or legendary modes to the first few raids. Although there's much better things that I think they could spend their time on. This feature will allow us to better communicate difficulty levels for raids and address the significant quality of life issues that depress engagement. And as many of you correctly surmised, the quick play feature that we debuted from the beta form for the Fractal Incursions bonus event will indeed be added to raids next year to help players find groups for an easier raid encounters. We're excited to see how this community engages with our merged raid modes, and we'll share more details on how this will work in the coming months. Happy gaming. Oof. How do I feel about that? So that means that I'm probably not going to make many changes to it. Yeah. I'm kind of a bit worried about that. Even if we have a role queue, what if people signing up as a heal boon DPS and as an inexperienced player, like it's technically filling the role required, would that be a nightmare to play with them? Yeah, but it would be much better to have people playing the role at a bad level than not playing the role at all. Having some boons is still better than having no boons. And it kind of also gives them a thing of like, hey, we can tell them, hey, look, you know, you need a, like when people do quick play, they're probably going to be assuming, okay, myself included, when I do quick play, I'm probably going to have newer players, right? And when you engage with it that way, then you understand, hey, if you know you want to do quick play, you don't mind helping new players, then you can engage with that system. If you're the kind of person that doesn't want to deal with new players and you rather would restrict your groups, you can do that. The thing too is you can have people join the groups and troll. Like, it's going to happen. You can have someone join the group, be like, oh yeah, I'm quick DPS. They don't have a quickness trait. They're a core ranger. They think that, you know, the spirits still give like alacrity or something when it was removed like 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Like you can have those trolls, but like at the end of the day, just because you have those issues, just that means just make the reporting system do something, or like the blocking system do something, because I think that's probably going to be a better way to address it overall. And I mean, people can still vote to kick. And I don't know, like the thing you need to look at is the quick play isn't meant to be the only way you engage with it. The quick play is meant to be there as an option to, like, you don't see anything on the LFG, you just want to do the raid boss, you don't mind having like a few shitters, right? Like some people that are going to be bad at the game, you don't mind, then join it, you know? Or you can just wait in the LFG and just not have it fill. I think it'd be good to get more people. Like, yeah, it might take some people off of the LFG, but I think at the end of the day, it's probably going to drag more people into the LFG and engaging with that system more regularly. But that's just my hope for what they do. I think they need to address the UI though, because even if you add it where everyone can pick their roles, once everyone's in the squad, how are you going to know who's what? Like, how are you going to know someone's Q DPS or someone's a lack DPS, or, you know, like, it's just, it would be nice if they had that feature there to just help people decide how to engage with it. But it's a good stepping stone. Like, it's a good direction. It's clear that they're seeing where the pain points are with a lot of like people in the community, especially since, you know, a lot of newer people, one, won't have a commander tag, so they can't make their own group, right? And then two, if you're, depending on what server you're on, if you look to join an IBS 5, you know, like sometimes people will have KP in there. And it's like, it's the common thing of like, oh, everyone like wants someone with experience, but no one wants to help them get the experience, right? Whereas with the quick play, you no longer have that. So you're going to have some people that are not going to be great. You'll learn to live with it. Like, they might not add the quick play for some raid encounters. Like, I highly doubt they're going to have quick play for Doom. But, you know, some people might learn the regular mode. It might introduce them to some raid people. They might message some people from it and just be like, hey, you know, I want to learn raids. Are you able to help me? It kind of like makes this nice little like merging point. You know what I mean? Where the less experienced people are forced to deal with the experienced people in a bit more. And then it's also not where it's like, you're forced to do it, where it's like, it's kind of like an opt-in thing. Like, do I think that like every experienced person is going to use quick play? Probably not, right? Like, even if they add the role selection, most people probably aren't going to use it in the experience. But some people might be like, hey, dude, I'm fucking bored, might as well just join it. And then they might see like one or two people that are really, really new and just help them out, you know, make it smoother runs. You know, but I still think they need to work on rewards for like teaching people getting their first clear. I still think it'd be a good way for them to just like bridge that gap. But I'm honestly surprised. Like the fact they're even working on the UI, making it so we can go to like 1 or 2 bosses is like really good. Because something that's really annoying for me is someone that like does some raids multiple times a week, is the fact that we might be able to just go to a specific boss or like go into like a specific wing, because having the ability to do that, it means that no longer do people have to like have alt accounts where they go and get clears to a certain boss, just so that we can hop into that boss instance. You know, it saves a lot of time. And hey, if you don't ever want to do gate, you never have to do gate again. That'd be good. I'd be happy with that. Bro, then all the people that are like, oh, I don't want to do gate, and then don't do game. Cool. Don't like trio? Don't do trio. Just skip it. You know? Alright. That'll be good. And it'll also get people a lot of KP. I do hope that ArenaNet actually deletes KP. That's a completely separate thing, in my opinion. Anyway, I am actually really happy with that blog post. I kind of wish that they had a bit more on it, to be honest with you. Because it would have been nice if they had like a bit more information, but I understand that it's probably because it's like, it's still work in progress, that they don't want to like release too much information on it, because if they release too much information, they've kind of like said what they're doing, right? Like they've kind of like locked themselves in. What do you mean KP is nice? Dude, KP just fills up your inventory, okay? And KP means nothing, okay? Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. You can have, dude, I've seen people with like 250 KP that are absolute shitters at the game. The only thing they've ever done is DPS. They've never done a single role in their life. Like, nah. Dude, I, for the longest time, have always deleted my KP, dude. And if someone's like, dude, for most of the time, at least because it's like NA, is like most of the time you'll get to like interact with people, and then you just like, you pull the fight and you can tell within the first 10, like couple of minutes who's bad, who's not. Like, it's pretty clear. Like, if you're experienced enough, you'll be able to figure it out. But I feel like a lot of people will just like put a KP requirement that they don't even meet. And then they're like, oh yeah. And then they just get carried. And it's like, okay, cool. But yeah, that's pretty good. I'm happy with what ArenaNet has done here. I do hope it looks good though. When like, it all depends actually on their execution, but it's a good step in the right